This is Woolton Golf Course, Woolton Golf Club. We're walking along Speak Road. The first 9 holes are on the left here, and the back 9 are on our right. I kind of like this part of Speak Road. We've had some reasonably nice weather over the Easter weekend. Friday was quite nice, and Saturday. Sunday was a bit of a cooler day, and Monday itself, Easter Monday, pretty much rained. But in terms of good English weather, wasn't a bad weekend. Now today's Tuesday, and the nice weather this morning, apparently it's going to rain this afternoon, I'm told, but the nice weather this morning has brought all the golfers out. Can't say I blame them. This is Home Street in Liverpool 8. I've just stood on an old can, that's what that crunching sound was. And it's just off Smithtown Road. I was born on Smithtown Road in Sefton General Hospital, so it would have only been a short walk to here. Now I lived here from 1957, when I was born, until 1960, and back then the street didn't look quite so scruffy as it does now. There's just litter everywhere, and some pretty large bins. These houses are known as 2 up, 2 down terraced houses. Terraced houses because everyone is connected to the house next door in one long terrace. 2 up, 2 down simply means that there was 2 rooms upstairs and 2 rooms downstairs. Upstairs you would have had 2 bedrooms. Downstairs the 2 rooms would have been a living room at the front and a kitchen at the back. There was no bathroom or no toilet inside these houses. The toilets were in a separate brick-built building which was in the backyard. Small children would probably be bathed or washed in the kitchen sink. Adults, some had tin baths which they would fill and have a bath in the kitchen. To have a proper hot bath though, you would probably have to visit the swimming baths, and the nearest one to here was on Lodge Lane. I made a video about Lodge Lane, and there was a piece of grass which I was asking about if anybody knew what was on the piece of grass prior to it just becoming a piece of grass. So Lodge Lane is just a short walk up Smithtown Road, and this is the video I made a few months ago, and this was the piece of grass I was asking questions about. So quite a few people made comments about the swimming baths which occupied this site, and as well as being a swimming baths, they also hired out individual baths, so you could have a hot bath. Basically you would take your clean clothes along with you, hire a bath for whatever length of time, and it would be the only way that you would be able to have a hot bath back in those days. I think it was also a laundry. A lot of the baths back then were also laundries where you could take your clothes to be washed and dried. Those times are now gone, and these houses will today have an internal room where the bath and toilet are, probably an extension of the kitchen with a room built above. House prices here in 2023 are around about £115,000. I was quite shocked at those prices. Anyway, one day one of these wagons turned up, Pickford's van, and all our belongings were loaded into it. Me and my dad got in the cab with the driver, and the driver's mate got in the back of the van. My mum caught the bus, I think it was a number 5, and we were all off to Woolton. When we moved to Woolton from Smithtown Road, this is the estate which we ended up living on. I've crossed over the road from where I was talking just now, and the road we're on is Speak Road. If we carry on in this direction, we'll end up in Hunts Cross, and Woolton Village is behind us. Now the houses on the left here form the top part of the estate that I'm going to talk about today, although the design of these is a little different. So the estate that I lived on runs from Speak Road here, where we are now, down to Hunts Cross Avenue, which has featured in a couple of videos of mine already. I'm just trying to get out of the wind. So basically I'm going to cover 3 roads today, and the closes that are off them, and we're going to start with Haileybury Road. Haileybury Road is the only road of the 3 that we're going to cover today that has bungalows. You can see on the left hand side it's houses, and on the right hand side there are bungalows, and those bungalows at the back back onto Woolton Golf Course's back 9 holes. On the left here is the first of 3 closes we're going to take a look at, and this first one is called Rodine Close. I had a friend who lived on Rodine back in the day when I first moved here. We were friends up until the early 1970s when he and his family moved to Wales. Never saw him again after that. I remember coming to see our house before it was completed, and standing in the living room and looking up, could actually see the sky. The ceiling wasn't in place, and neither was the roof. I would have been, I guess, 3 years old when that happened, not long before we moved in. So we're coming up to the next close, which is on the left hand side here, and this one is called Denstone Close. Now you might have noticed a theme forming here, because these 3 roads and these 3 closes are all named after private schools or private colleges, boarding schools and such like. I'll show you the colleges and the schools at the end of the video. Now when we moved here in 1960, this estate was pretty much complete. I don't remember any other work being done on houses at the time, but my memory isn't as good as it used to be. In 1960 when we moved here, my mum and dad paid £2,000 for their house. So what did you get for your money? When they were built, apart from these bungalows here on the right, all the houses were exactly the same. Over the years, original owners or owners who have come along since have made changes to their houses, modifications and extensions front and rear, some to the side where they've got space. But when they were new, as I've just said, everyone was exactly the same. All these houses on the estate are semi-detached. That means you have one next door neighbour adjoining your house. and these two houses would be mirror images of each other. When you opened the front door, you were met with a pretty long hallway which led to a kitchen door. There was also a staircase to the upper floor. Apart from the kitchen, which was at the rear of the house, there was just one long room which ran from front to back, and this was a living room, dining room. In our house, we lived in the front, and the dining room was to the rear. Upstairs, there were 3 bedrooms, one at the front, which was the main bedroom, and 2 at the back. One slightly smaller, and one was just really a box room, just big enough to get a bed in. But there was also the toilet and bath, which shared one room. This toilet and bathroom was at the front of the house. It's the windows on the left and right nearest to the side walls. That's the bathrooms in these houses. So we're coming up to the third and final close that we're going to look at on this estate, and all of them have been off Haileybury Road. This is Wrekin Close. One of the first things we did, well, when I say we, I mean my mum and dad. I had very little to do with it. We had a garage built on the side of the house. It was actually built into the house. Quite a few people followed suit. I think we were one of the first to have a garage. I think most of the houses on this estate have a garage now, and some have even built rooms above it, which you can see here. If you have a corner house, it was a good way of extending, because you would have a little bit of room to the side of your house, depending where the corner was. Put a garage on, build a bedroom above, and extend outwards. Some of these houses have had a lot of extensions. So Haileybury carries on to join Charterhouse Road, but we're going to take a left here and walk up Stonyhurst Road. Looking in the viewfinder of the camera, this video doesn't give you an idea of how steep these roads are. When we moved here in 1960, our house cost £2,000. Today, some of these houses on this estate go for around about 300,000. All these houses had a front and rear garden. Many now, though, are paved over, at least at the front. When we first moved in here, all the houses on this estate had wooden window frames, single glazed windows, wooden front door, wooden side door, which got you into your back garden or the garage that you'd just built, and the only method of heat was a single fire in the living room. So in the 60s, people were still heating their homes with coal fires. I think the coal man used to come once a week. Dirty flatbed wagon would turn up, and this really dirty guy would pick up a sack of coal, carry it through the garage, and empty it into a concrete coal bunker which was in the back garden. Not only coal was a dirty way of heating a house, it was also very difficult to light, and it didn't really heat a great deal of any home. These houses back then were really cold, especially in the winter. The coal fire was inadequate. It just reached a small area in the living room. It didn't heat the kitchen or the hall, and it certainly didn't reach the upstairs bedrooms and bathroom. My bedroom was absolutely freezing. I used to take a hot water bottle up to keep warm, but getting up for school in the morning, you would come downstairs to get dressed in front of the fire. My mum or my dad would have got a shovel full of coal and tried to light it on the fire using bits of newspaper, but it took that long to warm up. By the time you got dressed and you were off to school before the thing had warmed up. It was a very, very cold existence. In that way, it wasn't very different from living in Home Street. We're coming to the end of Stonyhurst Road now, and this is where it joins Charterhouse Road in exactly the same way Haileybury does further down to the right. So I'm going to turn left here and go to the top of Charterhouse Road and its junction with Speke Road, where we were earlier in the video. Now, we walked past these before, but I was actually talking to you. This is Charterhouse Close, and these are, I think, all one-bedroom flats. If you want to buy one of these, they're around about 83 to 85,000 pounds. Anyway, we're going to turn into Charterhouse Road here, and on a good day, you've got a great view into Widnes in Cheshire and the borders of Warrington. You used to be able to see Fiddler's Ferry power station from here, but someone's grown some trees, you can just see them in the distance there, and they obscure the view of those lovely cooling towers. But Fiddler's Ferry is going to be demolished sometime during this year, so you've lost the view of that as well from here. We're back now with the junction with Stonyhurst Road. We're going to carry on our walk, if I can get across Charterhouse without getting run over. I'll walk down towards Huntscross Avenue. So I was talking about how cold these houses were, but everybody in those days heated their homes and probably heated their offices and workplaces with coal. It later changed to coke. Now, this is a close off Charterhouse Road, but it's not named after a school or college unless there's a pasture school. So I'm not going to include it with the three closes that I'm going to give a few details about later. Where was I? Oh yeah, burning coal to keep warm. Later that became coke, which I think is coal which has already been burnt and then treated in some way. It didn't smoke quite so badly as coal, but you could still see it. But coal fires were responsible for some of the worst fogs I've ever seen. We used to get the school bus to Kingsthorne in the morning, and on some days you couldn't see arm's length in front of you. One of my friends ran head first into a lamppost in Kingsthorne Road. Just didn't see it coming up. Once we started burning coke, it was a little bit better. But once both disappeared and people started to get central heating and gas fires, the fogs and the smogs seemed to disappear. I think this estate was the last of the building in this part of Woolton, and it probably started near the end of Huntscross Avenue near Out Lane. I did a video about the roads down there, Garway and such, which I called the expansion of Woolton, and this was probably the further expansion of Woolton. They probably started at one end of Huntscross Avenue and worked their way to here, and then it came to a stop for a while once they reached the golf course. But there was more building to come. Walk past a sandstone wall at the top of Charterhouse Road when we walked along Speke Road, and I was talking about the houses on the left. The houses on the right hand side, which I've not covered and I will do in another video, were the final part, I think, of this particular area. And they were built in, I think, the 1980s. So on the right hand side we've just passed the junction with Haileybury Road, which we saw before, and I diverted off up Stonyhurst Road. So we're almost now at the junction with Huntscross Avenue, and as I said earlier, this is featured in a couple of videos of mine over the years. So as we reach the bottom of Charterhouse, we'll take a look back up from where we came. Still doesn't look steep. It really is though. Let's take a look at what these roads and closes are named after. Haileybury Road is named after Haileybury College, which was formerly called Haileybury and Imperial Service College. The college is in Hertford in Hertfordshire, and it was established in 1862. Rodine Close is named after Rodine School, which is an independent boarding and day school which was founded in 1885. It can be found in Rodine Village on the outskirts of Brighton in East Sussex. Denstone Close is named after Denstone College, which is a mixed private boarding and day school in Denstone, which is in Uttoxeter in Staffordshire. This college was founded in 1868. Wrekin Close is named after Wrekin College, which is an independent co-educational boarding and day school, and this one is located in Wellington in Shropshire. This college was founded in 1880. Stonyhurst Road is named after Stonyhurst College, which is a co-educational Roman Catholic Jesuit independent school. This college can be found in Clitheroe in Lancashire, not far from Blackpool I guess, and it dates back to 1593. Now if you're a music fan, or more to the point a progressive rock music fan, you'll know that 5 pupils from Charterhouse School formed the band Genesis. The original Genesis formed in 1967, and the 5 original members and 5 pupils from Charterhouse School were keyboard player Tony Banks, bass player and guitarist Mike Rutherford, singer and flute player Peter Gabriel, guitarist Anthony Phillips, and their original drummer Chris Stewart. I was looking at all the neat lines that have been mowed into the lawn in this photograph of Charterhouse College or Charterhouse School, and it reminded me of the album cover for Nursery Crime, which was a Genesis album released in 1971. It's beyond coincidence, this, isn't it? Anyway, thank you for watching this rather self-indulgent video. I think supper's ready. Catch up soon.